the last piece in the second book of Godowsky's Java suite, Bromo Volcano at Daybreak, is an impressive work. It stands in stark contrast to the one before, Borobudur in Moonlight, although it is also a description of a scene which is attached to a particular time of the day. Borobudur in Moonlight, this is at daybreak, and in fact in the narrative that he threads of here, he describes going from one to the other, and so there is a logic in the progression, but where it is almost the opposite, where the Borobudur was eerily still, quiet, and very descriptive. There is something intensely subjective about his reaction to the Bromo volcano, which makes it in some ways the most arch romantic piece in the cycle, despite the use that, again, of those intervals that are there always. The harmonies are much more 19th century or Rachmaninoff type. For example, there is a sense of power, of triumph, quite perceptible in this music. Now, the one feature I'd like to point out is, you could say that there is a theme in this music. Of course, there is one, and I'll show it. But the accompaniment figure is perhaps the prime motivic element in the piece. In some ways, is even more important than the actual melody that is built on top of it. And it is this. And it's like some huge power coming from the depths and erupting. And of course, well, this is volcano. So it's very well chosen. And from the crest of that wave coming up, you have a melody that tries to attach itself to it without ever completely succeeding. So you have fragments of melody. It's like, I mean, somebody drowning and coming to the surface and then getting sucked again, except there is nothing tragic in that. But you see that the music cannot really comfortably float on the melody. It has to come and go. So the melody and the accompaniment are intrinsically bound together in a way that they are not necessarily in other type of work with this type of writing. And you could think of many examples, but if you take any Chopin nocturne, you have a accompaniment and then you have a melody on top, but in some ways they are completely independent. You could change the melody while leaving the accompaniment absolutely in place. Here the two are absolutely welded together. Something interesting about the structure is this huge eruption of power, the power of nature, and also the feeling of power that it triggers into the eye of the observer, almost of triumph. There is a moment in the piece where this leaves way to a sort of peace, not a tiredness really, a sort of, yeah, I cannot say it otherwise, peace. So, well, the first occurrence was this, then you reach a sort of coda, the tremendous energy is dissipating itself and lets place to this sort of, yeah, more open sort of feeling. And that's the sort of thing you can observe in other pieces of that nature. I'm thinking specifically about a piece like the Schumann Toccata, which is the relentless demonstration of power. But after you had this final explosion, and the piece actually finishes. So the energy is being spent. And that was what was very clever psychologically in Godowsky's treatment of the form in that particular work.